Hi and welcome to Drummers Review. I'm Nolly and today we're going to be looking at a Kentville Drums Kangaroo hide snare drum head. Kentville Drums are an Australian company making traditional animal skin heads from kangaroo hide, which is sourced ethically and sustainably from culled animals. Animal hide, of course, has been used on percussion instruments for thousands of years, and the techniques that Kentville are using for creating these drum heads date back hundreds. The specific model that we're looking today is a 14-inch heavy gauge model, and it retails at around £95. While the idea of having a kangaroo hide snare drum head might seem like a bit of a novelty, if anything it felt more like a special occasion when we put it on the drum, and we were extremely intrigued to see what kind of sounds we'd be able to get. But before we go any further, let's listen to a few sound clips and come back for some more discussion afterwards. Initially, we handled the head very delicately and tuned it up, if anything, overly cautiously. But it quickly became apparent that we'd greatly underestimated how durable these heads are, though of course they do require some extra steps to be maintained correctly. The texture of the head is really unique and very different to any head that we've seen in the past. And as soon as you put this onto basically any drum, it instantly transforms it into something that looks a lot more traditional. Kentville specifically say that you shouldn't apply pressure to the center of the head in an attempt to stretch it in, as you might do with more modern heads, so we left it exactly as it was and quickly got to seeing how it sounded. With an expectation that it was going to have a kind of instant vintage sound to it, we were really pleasantly surprised to find that it had a clear and extremely articulate tone that didn't lack high-end at all. Across all of the tuning ranges, the sound is dry and perhaps a little bit huskier than you get with a modern drum head, but the attack is still punchy when it needs to be, and the response across all dynamic levels is excellent. That said, this is still a traditional and warm sound, as one might expect from a head that's made out of animal hide. When played with brushes, the sound was absolutely fantastic. The sweep sounds are really full and felt very smooth to play, while the staccato hits had plenty of attack and articulation too. In fact, Nick commented that this is probably the best brush sound he's ever experienced, so Immediately you know that this is going to be a head that jazzers are going to love. Getting this head to be perfectly even and in tune was pretty tricky, I have to say. Definitely more difficult than with a modern head, but I think that's to be expected when you're dealing with the inconsistencies in organic material. With all that said, it actually held tuning exceptionally well once it was in tune. But it's worth noting that Kentville recommends slackening off the tension rods when you're not playing the drum, in order that the head has a bit of space to be able to shrink and contract as the temperature and humidity changes while it's in storage. We think that the obvious scenario for using animal hide heads would be in the traditional styles such as jazz, acoustic, folk, or orchestral music, and for those players I think it's going to be really difficult to beat these Kentville heads. With that said, we feel like it could be an interesting consideration for drummers in other styles too, with that short and dry voice combined with plenty of attack and clarity, meaning it could actually cover quite a lot of different sounds. Obviously too, we can imagine that these heads are going to be very popular with drum collectors or vintage aficionados, and it's worth noting that Kentville is able to supply these heads in pre-imperial sizes too. The head will take a little bit of maintenance in order to ensure it's kept in tip-top shape, but if that's taken care of, there's no reason why this head shouldn't give you a really long service. Given the quality of the hide necessary to make good heads, the time and experience required to actually manufacture them, and of course shipping them across the world, we think that the investment would be worthwhile to players who want the real deal, and would be prepared or perhaps even enjoy the little bit of maintenance that they require. We really hope that you've enjoyed this review, but please leave us a comment to let us know what you think. Don't forget to subscribe for more content, and I'll see you next time at Drummers Review.